they have anything to do with what I say specifically. It's all my opinion. Okay. And then the other thing that I did also want to disclaim is that I'm very against the whitewashing of verbiage in order to quote unquote look professional. So if you see me use some slang, just know that I'm doing it for the culture. Okay. So I thought it would be easy to speak about something that I'm passionate about. I thought that would become easy to me. But honestly, where to start? I thought we could kick off with an origin story. So, I'm a first-generation Mexican-American. My parents are from Michoacan, Mexico. A little bit about that is I am Purepecha. That's a native of Michoacan. We live maybe like an hour away from the origin lake of my people. That means for as long as my lineage has existed, we have not left the state of Michoacan. Until my father decided to leave. When he was 17 years old, he came to America. He started working in the fields, and to save money, he would oftentimes room with people. So it would be like 3 guys in an apartment, like sometimes 6, 7. It was just always a lot of people crammed into one place. That's how they would save money to work the fields and everything. So it's just basically everybody they knew from Mexico, or friends of friends or family that would come in from, Mexico. They would all come and stay together. That was just how they did things back then. This is also the way everyone knew from the rancho would come and stay, and that's just how they established things. This is the way things were in Mexico. You relied on your neighbors and the people in your rancho a lot because of their other resources were just too far away to reach, or you didn't have the money to afford them. You weren't scared to ask for help, honestly, because if you didn't ask for help, you might not make it. That was oftentimes like a life or death thing. So it was relying on your community, relying on your family and friends for those resources to all pull together. One of my favorite quotes in Spanish is El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. That means when the town is united, it's invincible. So, my family took this concept and kept it rolling. Growing up, I lived in some apartments on 162nd and Burnside. Some of my family still lives there. My current home is actually only a block away because my dad didn't want to move too far away from our family. But it was funny because in those apartments, at one point, there was like 10 of us, like 10 of my family members, like had rented out individual apartments. So at least half of the entire apartment complex was just me, my family. We were just like having fun. This is my dad when he came here to Portland, in the downtown Portland fair. This is when he came here when he was like 17, super young, styled up. This is my dad working the fields when he was young. He did that for a while. And then this is my grandpa, who was also working in the fields. I think this is in California. But this is just how they did things. Like, they all knew each other back from the rancho back home. And, whenever somebody would come across the border, they would come with nothing. They would come with just the shirts on their back. And it was these people that were already here and established, with some of the first people that were here from our town was my dad and my grandfather. And they would honestly just give them the clothes off their backs. They would feed them and house them in their homes. Like, 3 people, like, I remember at one point I thought it was really cool because me and Tony lived together, me and my cousin Tony. But looking back on it, it was kind of crazy because there was my entire family in one room, his entire family in another room, and then I think in the other room, because there was a 3-bedroom, there was like 3 other guys who just like lived and worked in the fields, and there was like 1 car, and all the guys, like the men would wake up like at 5 or 6 in the morning and take that 1 car and go all the way to work in the fields. And the only thing, like, I didn't realize at that point that, I was just a child, like having fun, seeing all my cousins every day and like living the best life. Because we all lived in the same neighborhood and we all played all the time. At that time, I just thought we were all having fun. I didn't realize how strategic this was. It's strategic because there are young parents barely knowing the language in a new country, bringing one community from one entire foreign land and building a new one in a land that was not only aggressive, everybody was white there. So I can't even imagine the bravery and the tenacity it would take to come to Portland in the 80s and 90s when it was not this passive-aggressive granola land. Racism was super prevalent. And then also not having access to all the different services because they were quote-unquote illegal. So not being able to access anything, they relied on the only thing they could ever rely on, which was family, community. This was my introduction to mutual aid. This was my introduction to community. This was my introduction to compassion and love. This is the only way I've ever known how to live. For me, this was a blueprint. And as far as I can remember, at my table, we're all eating. So, and then, there's a side of Mexico too. You can see it's like, resources, you can take what you can. Things aren't really close around here, but I know helping is something that we all don't have the capacity to do. This is something that I recognize, but I also realize that we all want to help. Sometimes we just don't know how. All I can say is do it any way that you can. I think helping each other out is a lot simpler than you realize. I have a couple inspirational stories that I'm going to share with you today. So the first one is, of course, my mentor and my inspiration, my father. So, growing up, it was my dad's birthday. We must have been like 12 or 13 at that point, and we invited our friend Allie to come over. She came over, and she had this like really cute little red box, and it was all wrapped up. And inside of it, there was like $3. And let me do the next slide. Oh, I think it's a couple of it. Oh, okay, wait. You can do this one. Oh, this is cool. Okay, yeah. And this is like a running joke. This is a running joke still to this day because those $3 that she gave my dad, he kept forever. He kept literally until the day that he died. And I remember being like, a sneaky kid and trying to be like, Dad, let me get those $3. And he's like, no. And I was like, why are you safeguarding those $3 so much? It's literally only $3, Dad. Like, look it up. And he looked at me and he was like, Rosa. He's like, Allie doesn't have money. He's like, she probably gets like $15 for allowance, and she out of those $15, she chose to give me $3. He is like, that's huge. You know what you could buy with those $3? And which also back in that day you could buy a lot more with those $3. So he's like, and then I remember this story so clearly because he goes, you hold close to the things that people give you when they don't have that much, because it shows they're willing to sacrifice the little they do have for you. Is like sometimes the people who have the least make the biggest sacrifices, and that stuck with me. That stuck with me because a lot of times I never had much, but I was always willing to give my all, and I'll always cherish what people do for me. Whether it's just sharing an event or even coming out today to support me. I know it takes effort. These days, effort is hard to come by. You could have all been home right now resting. But your time is something that I appreciate, especially being here tonight. I find inspiration in the people that I surround myself with as well. I have another example to share. So, most recently we ran a coat drive. Out of that coat drive, we got like 36 coats. And it was amazing. It was a coat drive for a couple shelters here in Portland. And we collected them through a series of events, just really word of mouth and everything. But a big chunk of those coats came from a friend of mine. So, about this friend. His name is Billy. This summer, Billy actually had like all of his clothes, all of his wardrobe taken from him in his car. And that was super tragic. Like, Billy's in a space where he doesn't have, he doesn't have any of his clothes and stuff. And he still reached out to me. And he's like, hey, Rosa, can you meet me here? And I was like, yeah, let's go. So me and Billy got together. We met together at the Goodwill Bins. And, just a little backstory, if you guys don't know what the Goodwill Bins is, that's where a bunch of used clothes comes in. And you sort through it. You sort through it in these big bins, and you buy them by the pound. And the more you buy, like, the less it is. So Billy took a day, I think it was like some Wednesday or something, and it was cold, and we just decided to meet up together. And we met up together, and we sorted through coats, and when I got there, he already had like so many coats piled into the cart, and he was so excited about it. He's like, Rosa, look at these coats that I got. This one has a nice zipper, and it was really cute, like kid coats, adult coats, and everything. And we go over there, and we like dig through coats, and we find some really good ones. We go to the front, we pay for them. I think it was something like, I don't know how many pounds, but it ended up being like $30 or something. And Billy paid for all of them. And then I took them home. I washed them, cleaned them, and then got them all ready to go. And at the end of the day, it was somewhere between like 9 or 12 coats. I can't remember exactly, but it was like a good chunk of coats. And I washed them, folded them, and I took them into the shelter. And when you think about that, that's 9 people that are warmer this winter. And coming from a place where Billy did not have anything in his closet to give because he had gotten his clothes stolen this summer, he still went out of his way to pull his resources from wherever he could to give to people who are even less fortunate out here. And that was so inspiring to me. It's just, it doesn't take much to actually make a difference and help, and if you don't have it, just help in whatever capacity you can, like, I'm sure those people that are receiving those coats are not complaining that they're like used. Honestly, they probably can't even tell because they were really nice and they were washed. But
they were so nice.
Yeah.
Columbia jackets too.
Yeah, some Columbia jackets. Like, so coming from a place of empathy, of having gone through a loss yourself, and still finding it in your heart to pull together the resources, and also the elbow work that it took to literally go through all those piles of the bins. That was so inspirational to me. And I think, being surrounded by people who are inspirational to you are also, it's so important too. But, being able to help in whatever capacity you have, whether it's, your own, energy, whether it's, donating if you don't have the time, if you have time to donate, or if you don't have clothes to donate, if you have money, if you don't have money, if you, whatever you can, even if you're just, sharing a flyer or, doing something, you can do it next Saturday. So this is a little foot drive. So it's just really, doing whatever you feel called to help with, and then just taking what it is, even if it's, you have a musical talent, or even if it's just, honestly, the urge to party, take that and run with it. And with that, I did also want to speak a little bit about the mutual aid efforts that we're doing outside of, outside of my job. So this leads me to some mutual aid efforts that come into culmination because of a little event in friend group that we love to call Abomination. It really just started as a chance to party together with friends. We'd all been running in circles around each other for a while, so we decided to all join forces. We threw some pretty sick parties, and honestly, that sometimes can overshadow the work that we also do for the community. So I wanted to spend some time to really highlight. Do we want to do this quick next one?
Yeah, sorry.
So this brings me to being surrounded by inspirational people, and like I said, even if you just want to party, use that, run with it. So, and then you can do the next slide. So like I was saying, we threw some pretty sick parties, and honestly, that can sometimes overshadow the work that we do for the community. Over the course of 2 years, the Amalgamation Group has done up to 3 cooking events for homeless shelters where we all got together and potluck style, you could do the next slide, And potluck style, we cooked a different dish that feeds 12 people, and we were able to feed a femme-presenting homeless shelter here in Oregon. We fed them 3 times with home-cooked meals, which is something that honestly, not like, being homeless and not having a place to cook, it means everything to have a home-cooked meal. So this is all of us, and these are all our dishes, and we're like super proud to present them. So that's one of the things that we did. And then the other one was that we raised $600 for the Portland Indigenous Marketplace. So this was the event that we did, which was the Awaken the Heart event that we did, where we were able to raise $600 for the Portland Indigenous Marketplace. And you can do the next slide. So it's just a little proof. But they were like, thank you so much, and they were like so grateful. And this is just something that, so the Indigenous Marketplace, what it does is it brings Indigenous artists to the forefront and creates like a marketplace where they can sell their stuff. So that's something that we did. And then the coat drive came up, and we did around something like 30 or 36 coats that were donated to different shelters around the Portland metro area. And then the other thing that we did over the past 2 years is that we raised $1,000 for the Yakima Nation Reservation. And that was a big chunk of money too that we were able to give them. We also did a small canned goods donation drive, not to mention, and this is just the work that we've done for the community, not even beginning to mention the work that we've done for each other since we formed this little community. One of our friends wrecked their van, which they were living in at that time, and we were able to raise somewhere like around $1,000 for them, just because, he reached out and asked for help, and we all joined in and helped. The same thing happened when another one of our friends got their stuff stolen out of their car. We banded together, and we raised somewhere around like $500 and got her stuff back, which was one of her livelihoods. Is like, well, it's not really a livelihood, but it's like one of her deep passions to do fire spinning. So everybody got together and was able to buy all her fire spinning stuff back. And then countless other little things we have done for each other, like dog sitting or just supporting each other's events, supporting each other's art. I know so many of our friends are so talented, and we always show up for each other and just either, share each other's art or attend each other's events. So I did want to take the time and say that if you've participated in any of the amalgamation events, I want you to take a moment and give yourself a round of applause. You are creating change, you're building community, and you're having fun. I really wanted to share these things because I wanted to show that you can totally step outside of the box. You can step outside of the box and help in whatever way you feel called to do, in whatever way you feel like you can. So this is honestly like, it doesn't sound bad. Camping with your friends, partying, also being in a community where you're not afraid to reach out and ask for help. I think those friends I did have a lot of events happen with their cars. It's hard to ask for help, and they did, and they received it. And even little things like that, just in whatever way you can, ask for help, and let people love and support you. I also wanted to do a quick shout out to the Global Base community for building a community and creating a safe space for people of color to come together and enjoy music and dance. They've also participated in some fundraising efforts as well. I don't know them all, but I know that they're also doing their part in creating a BIPOC safe space here in Portland. So that's also really special because it's also centered around just having fun and dancing and music. And then I'm proud to be inspired daily by the moving forces of love and friendship. And then I also wanted to take the time to just share a little bit of information about Art Dress Future. So, as I say again, my father was always my biggest source of inspiration. He was such a hard worker, but honestly, was it? I knew from a young age that the average hustle was just not for me. I didn't find fulfillment in just making money. I wanted to create change, thus starting my career in the nonprofit industry, in nonprofit work. It's been 12 years since then, and honestly, I can't imagine myself in any other career. I worked with educational programs as well as Wallace Medical Concern, which is a medical clinic that primarily helps uninsured people have access to care that they need and deserve. The programs also serves a lot of undocumented people with zero or sliding scale fee. As of now, I am currently an interim executive assistant at Our Just Future, formerly known as Human Solutions. My permanent position title is Rockwood Building Coordinator. What the Rockwood Building is essentially, it houses 4 or 5 nonprofits in one full side of the building, and then the other side of the building is somewhere around like 100 or something low-income apartment buildings. So what I do is just, I'm kind of like a liaison between all the nonprofits in that space. And Wallace used to be there. Right now it's like Metro, it's like Rockwood Rising, Metro Family Support School Systems, and so yeah, so there's a lot of things in that, but so we can do this slide. And what I like about working for Our Just Future, honestly, is that it takes place in my neighborhood. Rockwood is like a 3-minute drive for me, and I've seen so many changes and so many things going on. Like one of the buildings that they're working on at this point too is like a street down, so I've seen it go up. Like I saw it go up, and it's like crazy because it's just like from one idea. It used to be a strip club, and it used to be a strip club, and the roof had issues, so they had to demolish it. And out of that, they were able to build somewhere like 6. Which, you know, it's healing the hood. Like, they're like, they took down that strip club and they're building somewhere around, which, this is the Aurora building. This is an affordable housing. This is actually something that I'm really excited about. But it's on 160th and Stark, which is literally right in my neighborhood. But the reason that I'm excited for the Aurora project is it's 93 affordable apartments. And that's within 30 to 60 of the area's median income. 16 supportive housing units that are designed to help people transition out of homelessness, offering wraparound services. And then the wraparound services that I'm most excited about when it comes to the Aurora building is the Life Networks program. And what it is that this offers on-site, like literally on-site services that are behavioral and mental health counseling, along with connections to other providers to meet specific resident needs, which is huge because a lot of times if you barely got into an apartment, you're not thinking about having mental health services, you know, and to have these services available in your apartment, like at any time, it's gonna lessen so many, like if there's, you know, fights or something going on, domestic violence situations, they can call these wraparound services, and instead of calling the police, which often is just not something that we want to do in neighborhoods, instead of calling the police, they can just come and talk to a counselor or a therapist, and they have these services available for them for free, which is huge, and I honestly hope it becomes like a blueprint for a lot of different places in Oregon, well, or in the world as a whole, honestly, because I think mental health is something that we definitely need to prioritize, especially in people with the lower income levels. It needs to be up there. So this is a project that I'm really excited about. So right now it should be going up for rent in the next month or so. So if you're interested, then you can definitely give us a call and we can talk about getting you windows. Okay, so I did want to share the mission statement. So the mission statement for Our Just Future. Our Just Future counters the forces that keep people and communities. I think, is that the mission statement on the next slide? Check. Oh no, these are statistics. That's cool too. Okay, so the mission statement for Our Just Future, it counters the forces that keep people and communities in poverty by building relationships and assets that create opportunity today and for future generation. Here's how they do it. So we partner with people and communities impacted by poverty so they can achieve long-term housing and economic security. We invest in affordable housing and community assets that contribute to strong, inclusive neighborhoods. We advocate with our community for policies and investments that expand housing and economic opportunity, eliminate wealth inequality, and end poverty. East Portland, East Sonoma County, Oregon is our home and the heart of our investments and our advocacy. The another thing that was really cool is that they actually work with a lot of Black-owned businesses, or like, BIPOC-owned businesses. Specifically, Coalesce is Black-owned construction contractors, and that's who's building the Aurora building. So not only are we investing in our neighborhoods, they're investing in also, BIPOC people that are with organizations and companies like that. So that's something really cool. And then, so these are just some statistics that I did want to also show you guys about the work that's being done at Our Just Future. This was just in the last year, but so 678 people received employment training, 1,119 people received rent assistance. These are all the callers and walk-ins that were given information. We were just really present there for the community. And then, yeah, so these are other numbers. I'm not gonna read them all, but so I am proud to always be making a difference every day with Our Just Future, and I also wanted to give you some information on how you could also do the same. You actually go back in this one. So a couple of different ways that you can help. You can, honestly, if you just want to help your friends and family, you only have the capacity to do that. It makes such a difference. Whether it's just like babysitting, dog sitting, like reaching out, checking on people, like giving people rides, like a little goes a long way. And just whatever capacity you have. And if you actually want to look out to different organizations and help, you can help whatever organizations are in your area, whatever you feel aligns with you and what you want to create change for. And this is just a couple of ways that you can help with Our Just Future. You can call over here to this phone number. There's also the volunteer information. But some of the ways that we do is you can donate needed items. They have a wish list on their website, which is ourjustfuture.org. So you can always just click through their wish list and order it. It's from Amazon, so it'll just literally be delivered. Volunteer for driving for emergency shelters. Cook and deliver dinner, snack, lunch to residents. And that's what we did with our Motivation Group too. The cook and deliver dishes to one of our drop-off shelter potlucks. That's what we were doing. Host a donation drive for residents or shelters. And then this is just hosting a donation drive, you can do it, like I said, if you want to throw a party, if you want to get all your friends together and throw a party, and you're like, okay, well, bring canned food or bring winter wear, you're honestly just throwing a party, but low-key also, you're participating and making change in the community. You can contribute funds, which is just donate. If you have money to donate, you can donate money in any kind of way. Sponsor a welcome home kit. So what that is just essentially people that are moving out from transitioning from shelters or other places into housing. They get housing home kits. And then sponsoring a shelter dinner. So this is just if you don't have enough friends to come and cook for the shelter, or you guys don't have the time for it, you can also just find a local restaurant that's willing to partner with them to cook for them, and you can just pay for the food to be made from the local restaurant, which would be really cool if you decided to do that with a BIPOC restaurant. That way you're not only putting money into your community, but you're helping with the shelter, so it's honestly double duty. But yeah, so we recognize that these are different ways that you can help. And then so that's just Our Just Future. If you want to get involved, there's tons of other different organizations. Like I had stated, Wellness Medical Concern is a really good one. It helps a lot of people in Gresham that are, they're undocumented people that need services, which is medical and dental services. It's all sliding scale too, or free. And then the other ones that are available are Virginia. It's Virginia's health, but it's does the same thing in Northeast Portland. Verde also works with housing as well as NEA. NEA is a really good one. It's for Native Americans too. That's in that area. If you have any other, I would also check 211 if you want to help in different ways. There's so many different nonprofit organizations that are available, and you can always just call 211. And 211 is a database for these different organizations, and you can just look through their website too, and their literally databases are huge. I recently found one that I really want to get involved with, and it's assisting with climate change, because there's a lot of climate change, and we've seen over the last years all the smoke from the fires and everything, and people have not been able to, especially like lower income people who can't really afford like an air filter or anything. I forgot what that organization is called. I wish I had that information. But what they're doing is they're creating like safety kits for them, which comes with like air filters, like water filters, and everything for like people who are like less advantaged. They can actually come in, because climate's gonna really affect everything, and the people that are gonna be affected are the people who who don't have the ability to go get an air filter or like get air conditioning and stuff like that. So that's a really cool organization too. I wish I had that information to put it on here, but yeah, so just anything that you're passionate about, I bet you there's something out there that could use your help. But yeah, that was my presentation on mutual aid and building community and just helping in any capacity that you can. Yeah, so if you feel called to do something and get involved in any capacity that you can, get involved in any capacity that you can, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Thanks for coming and spending your evening with me. All love. The next slide is from somebody that I'm also really inspired by. I leave you with this quote by Malcolm X. He says, "When the I is replaced by we, illness becomes wellness."